Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I want us to take a step back and talk about how you can prepare for the next run. And so, right now, I'm on the BLX, and you probably don't really know where I am, so I'll just kind of bring it back to where we are currently. Um, Obviously, we are in a bearish scenario at the moment. We're in a retracement and we are anticipating, everyone has their own theories obviously, but we're all anticipating when is Bitcoin going to, you know come back up and shoot back above the 20-week moving average. There's an argument to be said that the run starts when Bitcoin breaks above the 20-week moving average. A great example is what we've experienced thus far. We broke above the 20-week moving average and was off to the races. We broke above the 20-week moving average in 2019. We're off to the races, and to varying degrees. We broke above the 20-week moving average, and that brought us to $20,000. So, with that said, if you are still looking at cryptocurrency at this point, right? If you're still in the space, you still have your funds. I'm assuming there's going to be quite a number of people at this point that might have thrown in the towel, and that's understandable to some degree. I mean, Bitcoin has suffered to where we are now, about a 50% correction. To the wick, it was about 53. So effectively, if you bought at like $64,000, you lost your portfolio just got cut in half in a very short amount of time, and that's not something easy to stomach. And so I don't necessarily want this to be a video of don't have paper hands, have diamond hands. I don't know what else to call it, but this is not a video to rag on those people. In fact, it's quite understandable. There was a great deal amount of people that kind of threw in the towel during this, right? And to some, it's a good argument to make. Your portfolio would have dropped 83%. So um, it's not a matter of uh, ragging on those people. It's more so just focusing on yourselves. And if you are still in the space, welcome. Welcome to the cryptocurrency space where it's nothing like any other financial market you have ever seen in your life, which makes it interesting, exciting, and also nerve wracking. But these are the points in time, I would say, during this period, much like the periods of here or the periods of here, where this is the best time, the best opportunity to, form the portfolio the way you want it to. So today we're going to be looking, mainly at, because altcoins are very popular, um, to a point where someone who is new can fortify themselves with a decent portfolio, that can help them within the next run. And what I mean by the next run, it's when Bitcoin gets back up at the 20-week moving average. So let's take a look at this recent run. Okay. When Bitcoin broke below the 20-week moving average and then got back above it, it took a good amount of time, several weeks before altcoins took the reins, right? So when we measure the instance of Bitcoin getting to the 20-week moving average to above it, it was about 4 weeks. This is a very short amount of time, but that was when uh, altcoins started to take the helm, mainly because Bitcoin became stable above the 20-week moving average. We then saw a resurgence of Bitcoin, a rally, which was to the 20-week moving average. We bounced off of it, and that rally brought us to around 50 or so $1,000. And then around the time of December, we saw altcoins take the reign. Moving back here, we can see that when Bitcoin broke above the 20-week moving average, we saw a surge of dominance, meaning that Bitcoin is outpacing altcoins as a whole, right? Coming back up, and we obviously we broke back down, uh, and so this is not necessarily a move that can show like a bounce of some sort. It's just visualizing points in time where Bitcoin has either broke above the 20-week moving average and the run ensuing after, or a bounce. let's take a look at 2017. So this one's going to be a little bit more difficult, but every single time, not necessarily in the latter half of the move, so not necessarily this, but we would need to look further back to the time when Bitcoin would drop and finally break above the 20-week moving average. So this is essentially what we're looking at. When we broke above the 20-week moving average, Bitcoin rose in dominance over this time. Okay. It was only up until this point where Bitcoin was well above the 20-week moving average and started moving sideways, do we see altcoins then take the reign, and then you really see it start dropping, right? You see it drop, but you also see whenever Bitcoin hits the 20-week moving average, we see this kind of rise in dominance again. And even the ensuing bounce afterwards, we see dominance rise, and up until an apex, we see it drop again, and rinse and repeat, drop again. And then when we get to the latter half of the bull run, like here, we see altcoins really, really, really take the reins. But you kind of still see it when we see a bounce or a move towards the 20 week and then a bounce. We see this move of Bitcoin dominance. Same thing here, move of Bitcoin dominance. And then obviously we see the bear market. So it's a little bit difficult because this is around the time, okay, this is around the time when altcoins, were entering the market. They were still fairly young. I mean, 2014 is when this chart starts, which is around the time where altcoins started appearing on the market. Up until that point, it was just Bitcoin. But then this run, so the 2016, 2015, 2017 run, brings altcoins into the fold, becomes a major player, and then we see the dominance drop. So it's more so to the sense of you'd rather want to reference the this current run in 2019 as the main focus of how altcoins and bitcoins will react, and Bitcoin will react with one another. It's our full scale, like, example and evidence to show the relationship. You can't still use these moves, because it does clearly show a resemblance. But also keep in mind, up until this point, altcoins were very young. So what do I mean by this? It shows that there is several pieces of evidence that show that when Bitcoin does decide to get back above the 20-week moving average, odds are Bitcoin is going to take the reins and outpace the altcoin market. It is simply just going to outpace it. The dollar value is going to be fine, but as an example, okay, if you bought Bitcoin here at say August 31st, okay, August 31st, you bought Bitcoin here and you sold in December 28th, right? That's portfolio number one. Portfolio number two, you buy Ethereum with the same amount of money on the same day and you sold it on the same day. You would have made more on your Bitcoin than you would have on your Ethereum. Why? Because dominance went up. Bitcoin had outpaced the market during that period and therefore was the better buy during that period. With that said, that doesn't necessarily mean you should not buy altcoins. I'm just illustrating the fact that odds are Bitcoin is going to outpace the market when the time comes Bitcoin decides to get back above the 20-week moving average. It is only during after the fact when Bitcoin is now above the 20-week moving average and stabilizes above the 20-week moving average do we start to get some kind of movement from altcoins. And that would be phase one of an altcoin move. The second phase would be at a near peak, local peak, and also stabilizing at that level. That's when we really saw altcoins drop, right? During this period in time, between this January 1st to May 10th, we really saw altcoins shine. It really brought down the dominance. So, with that in mind, we are looking at today. Your main concern at this point is to say you're working off of a blank slate. Your main priority, at least in my opinion, would be to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can. Bitcoin is going to be the largest position in your portfolio, is one thing that I also believe is a tried and true method in portfolio building. Majority of it has to be in Bitcoin. Once you have a sufficient allocation of Bitcoin, Even at this point, you can start looking at altcoins because altcoins, even at this point, is at a great discount. Ethereum's under $2,000 from a height of almost $5,000. It was at $4,600. Um, so with that said, altcoins are at a great discount on their dollar level, probably. When Bitcoin decides to ramp up, the dollar value of your altcoins will probably increase, but not as fast as your Bitcoin. What will go down is their Bitcoin valuations because Bitcoin is outpacing the market at that point. So if you're a person like me that uses altcoin like Bitcoin ratios, this is might not be the best time to start thinking about buying altcoins with your Bitcoin because odds are when Bitcoin does decide to bounce, get back above the 20-week moving average during that period, Bitcoin's going to be outpacing the market heavily, like we have seen so in the past. It is at that point where Bitcoin's finally above the 20-week moving average, when then you can start deciding on your altcoins. And so this is if we are going to put a timeline, you know, Q1 of 2022, maybe the fall. You at that point you have a sufficient allocation of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is above the 20-week moving average at that point, you can then start considering altcoins. Okay, that is one time you can consider altcoins. At which point you can start buying your altcoins with your Bitcoin. But at this point here, on how to start out and how to navigate the market, Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance is a great chart tool to look at when looking in comparison of Bitcoin versus alts. At the moment right now, Bitcoin is gaining steam. Bitcoin is rising in dominance. Bitcoin is outpacing the market, or in other words, bleeding less than the rest of the altcoin market. And this is how you hedge your risk. This is how you manage your risk by buying majority Bitcoin. And at this point, you shouldn't be thinking about buying altcoins at the moment, unless you see certain things that might convince you otherwise. As an example, I am very vocal about how I'm accumulating Link, even during this period because I anticipate Link to be the one of the few altcoins that outpace Bitcoin during this period. Uh, Regardless of that, your main focus is Bitcoin. I know altcoins might be exciting. I mean, when you look at days like today, basic attention tokens up 12% compared to Bitcoin being up 1.14%. But I mean, just look at basic attention token as of recent, over the few weeks, we have been bleeding. Okay. For the past, 5, 6 weeks, we have been bleeding. And altcoins on the whole, as we know, don't do generally well when Bitcoin's below the 20-week moving average. And that's simply that. Nothing else to look at. So, with that in mind, that is phase one on portfolio building, at least in cryptocurrency. Get a solid base of a Bitcoin position before you start considering altcoins. Okay. Another time when you should be accumulating Bitcoin. Okay. And this could also be a video of when to accumulate Bitcoin, right? One is below the 20-week moving average. If it's significantly below it, that could be a very good time to accumulate Bitcoin. You can use the RSI in that sense. Another time to be buying Bitcoin is at the 20-week moving average and a few weeks afterwards. As we can see here, we know that when you bought Bitcoin at this level and held it during for several weeks, you would have outpaced the market from the period of September to say December 2020. You'd have been outpacing the market by just holding Bitcoin. That is another consideration you can do. Obviously, that didn't work out this time, but nothing's a surefire way. I mean, even I bought Bitcoin at the 20-week moving average at $49,000. It didn't hold, and so here we are. But regardless, the history shows that if you did buy Bitcoin at the 20-week moving average and it held, you'd have outpaced the market. The same kind of idea comes when Bitcoin breaks above the 20-week moving average. You would have been outpacing the market during that period. It is only when Bitcoin is significantly above the 20-week moving average or moving sideways above the 20-week moving average is when you start considering to accumulate your altcoin positions. You see, the periods of May and June of 2020 was a great time to start accumulating altcoins at this point because by September, early September, late August, you'd have been outpacing Bitcoin at that point. Another point would have been here during the periods of February to March when Bitcoin started to move sideways. That would have been a great time to start accumulating Bitcoin. It's moving sideways. It's well above the 20-week moving average, and therefore all coins started gaining dominance, and you outpaced Bitcoin at that point. And so those are just the few things to keep in mind if you're a new person and looking to start, maybe building your portfolio for the next leg up. Step one is accumulate Bitcoin. Okay. Accumulate Bitcoin as much as you can, or within reason. Okay, I'll add that within reason. So if say you have $5,000, you will dollar cost average your $5,000. All the while Bitcoin is below the 20-week moving average. Once you've exhausted those funds, that is your position of Bitcoin, and you hold that until Bitcoin gets back above the 20-week moving average. And subsequently after, when Bitcoin starts moving sideways, like you could see here in the example of the summer of 2020, or just this past Q1 of 2021, you can then start looking at altcoins. And even during the runs, when Bitcoin's breaking above the 20-week moving average, and subsequently after, when it keeps on rallying, you can start looking. That's when you start looking at your altcoins. You look at Ethereum, you see how much it's bled. You look at Chainlink and its valuation against Bitcoin, how much it has bled. Uniswap, basic attention token, Cardano, all these assets, and you look at their valuations against Bitcoin and you see how much it has bled since the peak. And then at that point, you can start picking and choosing which altcoins you like, which projects you like. And then when the time comes when Bitcoin starts to chill out above the 20-week moving average, starts to move sideways, you start accumulating your dollar cost average, your altcoin positions on a weekly, bi-weekly, on a monthly, even a quarterly basis if you really want to take it that far at that point. And then you have phase two, which is you have your altcoin positions now at the best possible time to buy when Bitcoin is fully dominating the market. You'll see it in the dominance chart, and then you'll be at that point primed and ready for an altcoin run. But that is way down the line. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, because we haven't yet gotten above the 20-week moving average. So that's why phase one, Bitcoin. Phase two, you wait until Bitcoin chills out. Or I guess phase two is looking at altcoins during the run of Bitcoin. And then phase three is when Bitcoin starts to chill out. You start dollar cost averaging your altcoins. That's three easy steps that you can take with you to help you kind of navigate through the markets in a very, very simplistic way. Now you can add more complexity to it. You can add indicators, moving averages, RSI, MACD, what have you, to kind of help you navigate the ins and outs of Bitcoin to altcoins. But, as a general rule, the 20-week moving average is your friend to help indicate when Bitcoin is in a bullish sentiment or a bearish sentiment, if it's above or below it, and how it's moving above the 20-week moving average. Is it shooting up right above the 20-week moving average, like what we see here during the fall of 2020? Well, then Bitcoin dominance goes up. Is it moving sideways above the 20-week moving average, like in the summer of 2020? Well, altcoins are going to be gearing up for a move, is what I would say. And that is a very easy, simplistic way to understand on how to navigate the markets by using your Bitcoin, by using the bedrock of your portfolio, which is Bitcoin, to help increase your dollar value or your Bitcoin value, and more so your Bitcoin value. If you're just looking at the dollar value, then you could just buy Ethereum at this point and just hold it, and you will see the dollar value go up. But keep in mind, if you just exclusively buy altcoins, one way you can also do it is have a separate spreadsheet and write down how much dollars you actually paid to buy these altcoins, and have a separate portfolio where you used all those dollars and just bought Bitcoin. And then you can then measure your dollar value of your portfolios, and you'll see which one is higher. And you'll know that during these points in time when Bitcoin's shooting up above the 20-week moving average, or bouncing off the 20-week moving average, Bitcoin will outpace the market. But that doesn't mean that altcoins don't have a shot, right? Cardano is a great example of that. It has outpaced the market tenfold since March of 2020. I'm a little bit more involved in that and trading within the cycles. So trading when Bitcoin is at the 20-week moving average and moving up, so on and so forth, it's a little bit more involved. And that way I'm more active in the market that way. You don't have to be that active, but this is how I navigate the market. Anyway, hope this helps. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye bye.